Hey, well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Yoga Church Digital. We're so grateful that you're here. Good morning, Jean. Thank you for kicking us off this morning. Yeah, please post in the comment section where you are, who you are, and how you are this morning. We'd love to know who everybody is and where you're joining from. It's always cool to see all the wide variety of where folks join in with us. And for those of you, we know many of you join in later in the week when it's a better time for you. So whenever you're gathering with us here digitally, we're grateful for you. And we're here in the safety of our spaces to join you in the safety of your space for this practice of yoga this morning. So if you could start a watch party, share this with your friends, send out links. Those of you who are joining on YouTube, if you want to text the link to your friends or send it out there, it's just a way that we can share with our friends, hey, I'm doing yoga this morning. It's amazing, and you can come and join me. I don't know about you, but these days, with everything going on in our world, a time to breathe and stretch and disconnect from kind of the craziness is always a welcome, opportunity. So I want to begin by just a quick little devotional from the Christian scriptures. Please don't freak out. You don't have to be a Christian to be part of Yoga Church. It's not a requirement at all. I think most people can agree that Jesus is a great teacher, that Jesus was a great spiritual teacher. That's pretty much universally affirmed. So we do operate from the Christian perspective and share from the Bible, but don't let that be anything that would deter you. This is welcome. If you're just hungry, spiritual, open to spiritual paths and practices, then this is for you. So let me just quickly share here. In the book of Acts, there's this interesting moment in the beginning of the life of the church, and I just want to read it to you. And you're going to notice probably that it's very different than what you see in the church today. It's not happening in a building or any of those things. It just tells us that that people are gathered together. They're holding all things in common. And what that means is that they're making sure that everybody has enough. They sell all their possessions and goods, distribute the proceeds to any who had need. And day by day, Ferdinand, stop it. My pug is getting barking this morning. Day by day, as they spent much time in their temple, and they broke bread at home, and they ate their food with glad and generous hearts, praising God with all the goodwill of people, and day by day they grew. Interestingly enough, the early church didn't have a dedicated building that they met in. They didn't have a church compound. They didn't have a professional minister who was paid to do the work of ministry while everybody else kind of received it. But what we see happening is really Christians, the first Christians are gathering in two spaces. They're gathering in the temple space. That temple was destroyed in 70 AD and has never to this day been rebuilt. And so when they lost that space, they then just distributed completely into homes and meeting halls and caves and wherever basically that they could meet. And so I think it's interesting that COVID has kind of thrust those of us that are Christians back into this space where for a long time we couldn't go into our buildings, and we had to kind of rethink where church can happen, what it looks like, who it can happen with, who can lead it. And so Karen has been one of those leaders who showed us that, hey, church can happen in your living room. It can happen connected through space and time by screens, and it can happen in parks and yoga studios and even tattoo parlors and pretty much anywhere where people can gather, break bread, share their faith, pray together. That can be church. That can be church happening right there. And so what we're doing this morning can be a form of church for those of us that it is, that it's a time of prayer. It's a time of spiritual practice and centering. It's a time of hearing from our higher power and being filled and being in communion with our higher power. So as we go through this practice this morning, I just invite you to maybe think about the space where you are as a kind of a holy space. I love what Fred Rogers used to say, and he was somebody who was really pioneering in using television and in Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And he used to say that the space between the screen, he called that holy ground, that he didn't envision himself just speaking to a screen, but speaking to real people and real places spread all over the world, and giving them a message of hope, and love and grace and faith. And so let's join together on this space of holy ground this morning, wherever that might be, as Karen leads us in this time of pause and breath and getting out of the craziness and the chatter of the world. So thank you all for joining with us, and I'm going to turn it over to Karen.
Thank you, Michael. Let us begin our yoga practice today with the heart of yoga, which is breath. So sit in your most comfortable position, maybe a little bend in the knees, and just close your eyes and begin to breathe, being aware of your breath, what's happening as you inhale, what's happening as you exhale. And just letting go of any negativity, any anxiety, anything that is negative, that is just taking up too much space in your brain. Let's just clear our mind and maybe fill our minds with goodness. Maybe you have an intention today that you can meditate on, or a prayer, or a desire of something to change. Whatever it is, let's close our eyes, clear our minds, and find what that intention is for you. Continue to breathe with your eyes closed, maybe changing your breath pattern. Inhaling a long, deep inhale in through the nose, feeling the air come all the way down into your belly. Pause. And then exhale all the old air out of your body through your mouth in a very long exhale. Maybe making a shh sound as you exhale. Here we can begin to connect our breath, our mind together, along with our body as we go through our yoga poses through our practice today. On the next breath, let's return to normal breath, in through the nose and out through the nose as we open our eyes. Sit nice and tall. Take your arms out long with your palms up. Inhale to float the hands up, and exhale, bringing the hands over heart center. And namaste. Inhale to float the hands up, reaching the arms on. This is just a big stretch. Letting your breath guide your movement, and continuing letting your breath guide your movement through your practice today. Knowing that this is your practice. So it's okay to change it up. If something doesn't feel right, don't do it or modify. Let this feel good for you and for your body. The beautiful thing about yoga is that we're all built so differently, so we all move differently. So it's okay to move what feels good for you. Listen to your body through your practice today. One more big stretch, floating your arms out as long as you can reach them, floating your fingertips softly down to the earth. As we go into some side stretches, warming up the spine, lifting that left palm up, reaching up for strength and over for flexibility. Alternating side to side, reaching as high as you can reach and as far over as you can reach. It's okay to go slower through your practice today. The slower you move a joint, or the slower you move the joints in your body, the more tension that you release. So take this time to be kind to your body today, to just invite relaxation and restoration throughout your practice today. Just breathe it in with each breath. One more big side stretch, inhaling up and exhaling over. Inhaling, reaching, and exhale, floating both hands down by your sides. As you grow tall, maybe pull your belly into your spine just to protect the spine. Let's go into some shoulder shrugs with breath. Inhale to shrug up, and exhale to shrug down. Inhale. And exhale, let's take it into some shoulder rolls to the back. As you lift your shoulders, roll them to the back. Lifting your heart, lifting your gaze and breathing, moving slowly, feeling the shoulder blades as they lift up and come down. Releasing any tension in the upper back and the neck. One more big shoulder roll to the back, leaving your shoulders down away from your ears. Maybe growing a little taller through the crown of the head as we drop our left earlobe towards our left shoulder with a heavy head. Inhale on the exhale, lifting the head back to the center and slowly looking over the right shoulder with breath. Inhaling to look over the shoulder. And exhale to slowly come back to the center. Sit a little bit taller as you let your right earlobe fall towards your right shoulder with a heavy head. Inhale and on the exhale, lift your head back up to the center as you slowly look over your left shoulder with breath. Inhale to look over the shoulder. Exhale to come back to the center. Go ahead and bend your knees if they're not already bent. If you don't like folded legs, that's okay. Just bring your feet out in front as long as you have a little bend in your knees as we bring some spine mobility into our upper body by doing some little bitty upper body circles, starting small and then gradually increasing the range of motion, the size of your upper body circle. And to add to it, if you want to get a little bit more out of your movement, maybe lift your heart as you come to the front. And then round the spine as you come to the back. Inhaling and exhaling with each upper body circle. We're going to switch the direction of our circles, but remember, start small. We're just warming up the spine. So we want to be kind to our spine here. One more big upper body circle, and we're going to move into a seated cat and cow. So come on and sit as tall as you can. As we hinge forward, lifting your heart, lifting your gaze, inhaling, filling the lungs up with air. On the exhale, nod the chin and slowly round back to a cat pose, like a Halloween cat. Inhale, hinging forward into seated cow. And exhale into seated cat. And one more set, inhale. And exhale. And come up to tall spine. Let's go ahead and straighten our legs into a staff pose, grounding our legs by pointing our toes up to the ceiling. Maybe use your fingertips to sit as tall as you can. Relax your shoulders. You're in staff pose. This is a great stretch. Pull your belly into your spine. Maybe you just stay here. If you want to go a little bit deeper, reach the fingers up towards the ceiling. gazing towards the ceiling, and then hinging 2 or 3 inches forward. Continuing to grow through the spine, continuing to reach through the fingertips, feeling the energy just flow through your fingertips and flow through the soles of your feet. And maybe you stay here, maybe you forward fold. It's okay to bend your knees as you forward fold, bringing the nose towards the knees, reaching for your feet. And maybe with each breath, you just try to straighten your legs just a little bit. Let us breathe 3 breaths here and forward fold. On the next breath, we're going to slowly roll the spine back up to tall spine, articulating the spine, stacking one vertebra at a time on top of the other, lifting the heart, lifting the chin, and sitting tall once again. Let's go into some spinal rotation, pulling that left knee into the chest only to get tall, and then wrapping your right arm around that left knee to get even taller, taking your left hand around to the back of your mat, lifting your heart, lifting your gaze. And this is really more about breath. So the deeper you can inhale, the more you'll feel the stretch of the rib cage and the lungs. Inhale deep and exhale long. Such a beautiful day here where I am. I'm in Ponte Vedra visiting my friends, and I'm watching the bird feeder and all the beautiful birds. I hope wherever you are today, it's just as pretty. I think it's a beautiful day here in Florida. On the next breath, slowly come back around to the center as we pick up that left foot, ankle, and put it on top of the right knee, sitting nice and tall. As we go into a little hamstring stretch, maybe you stay here. This is a great stretch. Or maybe we take it a little bit deeper with a long spine. Lean back as you slide that right heel in. And then as you lift your heart, sit as tall as you can, hinging forward, cradling the knee, and gently rocking it side to side. And maybe you can cradle your lower leg, maybe not. Remember to listen to your body. Remember that this is your practice. Now, I encourage you to sit as tall as you can as you just rock your knee or your lower leg side to side. Because the taller that you can sit, the more you're going to feel that stretch in your medial glute and your piriformis. Maybe you have sciatica. It's a great stretch. Just try not to be too aggressive and be gentle with your stretching. On the next breath, it's going to straighten out that right leg, straighten out the left leg, only to pull the right knee in. This time we're going to rotate to the right, so use your knee to get tall. Take your left arm around that right knee. And then slowly take that right hand around to the back of your mat, lifting your heart, lifting your gaze, keeping your eyes up, and breathing deep again. Feeling that inhale just expand the lung, expand the rib cage. On the next breath, slowly come back around to the center and lift up that right ankle on top of that left knee, sitting nice and tall where maybe you stay, maybe you want more, leaning back with a long spine, only to slide the left heel in, lift your heart as you hinge forward, cradling the knee and rocking it, or maybe you cradle the whole lower leg. Remember to sit tall and be gentle. Gentle, gentle rocking here. Inhale on the exhale, going to release. And we're just going to move right into a seated butterfly. So we're going to take the soles of the feet together. If you have lower back issues, you want your feet kind of away. But maybe you want to go a little bit deeper, so you just pull your feet a little closer to your body. Maybe even you rock to get closer. Hold on to your ankles or your shins. Whatever feels good. Sit nice and tall and seated butterfly. As you push your knees, it's more important to push them away from each other than to push them down. And maybe you stay here if you want to go a little bit deeper. You can join me as I hinge forward with a long spine, floating my elbows over my knees, gently pressing them as I nod my chin and let my nose float towards my toes. On the next breath, slowly round up to tall spine. Once again, articulating the spine. As we bring our knees together, we're just going to transition onto our hands and knees. As we go into an extended child's pose, it's important that your knees are separated. As you drop your buttocks to your heels, extend your arms away from your shoulders as far as you can reach, dropping your elbows and your forehead to your mat. Be sure that your toes are not curled under. Rather, your toenails are flat on your mat. Let us breathe 5 breaths in extended child's pose. Continue to breathe in your extended child's pose. And know that as we go into our vinyasas, into downward dog, into some planks and cobras, you can always just stay here in your child's pose. Child's pose is a modification for downward dog. So let someone come up to your hands and knees. I'm going to do a modified vinyasa first by walking my knees back so that I am, and letting my chest go forward so that I am in a bent knee plank. So in your plank, it's important that your wrists are under your shoulders and not out in front. This is a bent knee plank. You can curl your toes under if you want. Maybe you lift your knees. That would be a little bit more progression. Or just keep them down for our modified vinyasa. And then we're just going to lower our entire body down to the mat, squeezing your elbows into your rib cage, lining your fingertips up with your shoulders. And in a cobra, our lower disc and our back compress. So it's really important that if you have lower back issues, you only lift an inch or 2. But maybe your body allows you to lift a little higher or all the way up. Remember that this would be your cobra pose. Let's go on and breathe 3 breaths in cobra. On the next breath, we're going to push back into that child's pose, where maybe you stay, or maybe you curl your toes under and join me in downward dog. And if you do come into downward dog, pedal in your heels. Left heel, right heel, left, right. Maybe both heels press down. What a wonderful stretch as you push your sits bones up. Be sure to keep your eyes on your knees here to protect your back and your spine. And then to move into our plank, lift your heels as high as you can, and then press forward so that your shoulders end up over your wrists. So you're in a good full straight plank. You can drop your knees down if you need to, or maybe you just come down to your elbows because you have a shoulder injury, maybe you have a wrist injury. Modify where you need to in your plank. From here, we're going to go right back down into a cobra. Bend your elbows and lower your entire body down. Chest and all, uncurl the toes. And then come into your cobra. Maybe it's just an inch or 2 lift. Maybe it's all the way up. So we're going to pick up the pace a little. We're going to inhale, exhale back into child's pose. Or maybe you stay, or maybe you jump right back into downward dog with me, pedaling the heels. Left heel, right heel, left, right, both heels pressing down. Lifting both heels up and pressing into your plank. So if you're in child's pose, I showed you in the first one also how to press forward into a bent knee plank. Now from here, you can stay in your plank. Maybe you want a little bit more today. Maybe we move to a side plank, rotating to your left and lifting up your arm and breathing. Make sure your neck's in alignment with your spine. And then let's rotate back to our center plank, back to cobra, or maybe you join me for chaturanga by bending the elbows and lowering your body almost to the mat, just hovering your whole body about 8 inches off your mat, or maybe 4 inches. And then dropping down into your cobra or holding your chaturanga, whatever works for your body, for your practice. Inhale, and the exhale back into child's pose, where maybe you stay or maybe you join me in downward dog. Pedaling the heels once again. Left heel, right heel, left, right. Both heels press down, only to lift up, to press into your plank. Maybe it's a center plank, maybe it's bent knee plank. Maybe you're joining me with the side planks, turning to the other side now. And breathe. You can also drop your knee in your side plank if you need to, or if you're on your elbow, you can do it that way as well. Go ahead and windmill your top hand back down to the center plank. And you can go back to cobra or join me for up dog, uncurling the toes and lowering the hips towards the mat, recovering them as you lift your heart and lift your gaze and breathe. On the next breath, let's drop into child's pose. And then if you're going into downward dog, you can join me into downward dog. Pedaling the heels. Left heel, right heel, left, right, both heels down. Next, we're going to actually come up to standing. So if you're in child's pose, you probably have a way that's safe for you to come up to standing. We're going to come into a standing forward fold. So you can make your way to standing and then fold over, or maybe you join me hopping forward or stepping forward and then tucking your chin into a standing forward fold. And standing forward fold, be sure that the crown of the head is facing the feet. And then we're going to go into some knee bends. Left knee, right knee, left knee, right knee. Both knees bend as we float into yoga chair pose, floating your arms up, pulling your belly into your spine, lifting your gaze, lifting your heart, reaching your hands up. Let's be sure we're in the right alignment. Gaze down, make sure you see your toenails. Hey, look up. And breathe. Inhale. Exhale. On the next breath, stand up nice and tall. Inhale to reach the hands up. Exhale, bring your hands down by your side. I'll just turn this way. If you want to turn to the long side of your mat, you can. As we go into a good morning pose, good morning stretch. So just spread your feet nice and wide. Put your arms out long. This is standing straddle split. You can stay here or hinge halfway down. Long arms, long legs, growing through the crown of the head. Maybe you stay here enjoying this stretch, or maybe you join me for revolving triangle. Dropping your left fingertips under your heart, maybe the left hand under the heart, and then rotating and lifting up your right arm, your right hand, and gaze up to the ceiling. Inhale and exhale. Come back into your arms in a T as we revolve in the other direction, dropping the right fingers or hand under the heart as you flip the left hand and gaze up to the ceiling. Inhale and exhale, come back into your good morning pose, only to hinge all the way back up to standing. Float your arms up, reach them wide, reach them high as we move into some moonflowers. We're going to do a little squat. So maybe you bend your knees just a little because you have knee injuries. Listen to your body. So on my first moonflower will be modified. Just a little range of motion. Inhale and exhale. So moonflowers are really all about breath and body connection, mind, body, and spirit. So here we go. Inhale and exhale. If you want to go a little bit deeper, drop a little bit deeper and exhale. Next, we're going to begin to make some sunflowers with our hands. Inhale and exhale. Big stretches here. Big sunflowers. Inhale and exhale. One more big sunflower. Bringing your hands back out into standing straddle split. If your toes are turned out, swing your heels out so your feet are parallel. Palms are down. We're going to move into our warrior series. We're going to go and turn that right foot out to the side. And then bend your right knee. Then rotate your body to go to the right, looking down your right hand. You're in warrior two. And then warrior, peaceful warrior, drop your back hand to your back leg. Flip your front palm up. And slowly, with your gaze, begin to reach your hand up towards the ceiling. This is peaceful warrior. If you want to take it into reverse warrior, you can reach up and towards the back wall. Wherever you are, this is where we can breathe and focus or meditate on that intention. Or maybe it's a time to just be still, to just be in the moment and breathe. On the next breath, we come back into warrior two to reset, only to drop into side angle, dropping the right elbow to the right thigh, floating the back hand up and gazing down to the right big toe. That's to protect the neck. It also helps you to stabilize. If you want more, you can slide your hand all the way down to the inside of that ankle for an extended side angle or not. On the next breath, come back into your warrior two. Reset with nice long arms. As we move into triangle, straightening out the right knee. Hand your upper body to the right, dropping your right hand either to your thigh or shin, floating your back hand up, gazing down to your right big toe. And from here, we're going to windmill that top hand down as you turn your back foot forward, and so we're in a deep runner's lunge. So your back leg is long, your back heel is pressing towards the back of your mat, and you're in a deep runner's lunge. Go in and turn that back foot out to the side. Bring your hands up on top of your knee and lift your arms over your shoulders so that you are in warrior one. And then warrior two. And then turn your right foot forward, come back to standing straddle split. Excellent. We're going to go into warriors on the other side. Go in and turn your left foot to the side. Then rotate your upper body to look down your left hand. And you're in warrior two. Reverse or peaceful warrior, dropping your back hand to the back leg, flipping your front palm up and beginning to reach up towards the ceiling. A little or a lot, maybe you go into reverse warrior. And breathe. Slowly come back into warrior two to reset as we transition into side angle, dropping that elbow to that front knee, floating the back hand up, gazing down to your front big toe. Maybe it's an extended side angle for you. And breathe. On the next breath, slowly come back into your warrior two, where we reset, restabilize. As we move into triangle, we're going to straighten out that left knee. Hand your upper body to the left. Dropping your hand to your shin or your thigh, floating your back hand up, and breathing. We're going to move into that runner's lunge by floating that top hand down as you bend that left knee, turning your right foot forward, and you're in a deep runner's lunge here. So ideally, you're pushing that back heel towards the back of your mat, elongating that back leg, and breathing. And we're going to move into warrior one. Turn your back foot back out to the side as you bring your hands on top of your knee or thigh for stability. Reaching your hands all the way up in warrior one. And then back into warrior two. And then turning that left foot forward back to standing straddle split. Inhale to float the hands up. And exhale, hands over heart center. Take your heels in. Big toes in. Heels, toes, heels. Now maybe you stay here. For those of you that like to do a nice deep, deep, deep squat, you can just drop right down into your squat. And breathe. If you're in your deep squat, the safest way to come out of it is to drop your hands. Swing your heels so your feet are parallel. Tuck your chin and then begin to roll up slowly, one vertebra at a time. Inhale, floating the hands all the way up once again. Exhale, hands over heart center. Bringing your feet together. As we move into mountain pose, just drop your hands down. Relax your shoulders down away from your ears. Let your feet be just a couple of inches apart, maybe sits bones width apart. And just close your eyes unless you feel like you would fall, then open them. Otherwise, we're just going to take away our eyesight, one of our senses, so that we can really feel the connection. We can be grounded to the earth in mountain pose by pressing the soles of the feet into the earth wherever you are. Maybe it's a mat, carpet, wherever you are. Just ground yourself, growing tall like a mountain, thinking that you are sturdy, being sturdy, and maybe meditating or praying or focusing on an intention that you have on your heart today. On the next breath, let's open our eyes. Float your hands up into prayer hands over the crown of your head, squeezing your biceps against your temples or your ears, and upward salute as you gaze upward. It's contraindicated to let your head go backwards if you're over 60, but maybe you thrust your hips forward and gaze up. Inhale. And on the exhale, float the hands back down. We're going to move into our balance poses, into tree pose. So maybe you step off your mat and onto the floor or someplace else. I'm on carpet, which is probably going to be a little unstable, but it's a better challenge. So it's all in what you're wanting today. Hands over heart for our first tree pose, lifting up that left heel. It's okay to keep your big toe down, but maybe you just slide that foot up onto the calf, or maybe you pick it up and put it on the inside thigh. Grow tall through the crown of the head and breathe in your tree pose. Maybe use the breath pattern of in through the nose and out through the mouth to help you stabilize. And then focus on your heart, on your intention. This is where the mind, the body, and the spirit come together to be stronger, to be one, to be whole. Inhale, on the exhale, let's release that tree pose. Shake your legs out. Maybe do some shoulder rolls to the back. Now, as we go to tree pose on the other leg, other foot, I encourage you to change the position of your hands. You can do your hands over your heart, but maybe you'll be a tall tree, maybe you'll have branches, maybe fat bush, maybe you're crooked, maybe you're blowing in the wind into a tree pose. Go on and lift up your right heel. Maybe you float your sole of your foot up onto your calf. Maybe you keep your toe down or just an inch off. It keeps tapping the floor. It's okay. It's your tree pose. And breathe. Remember that connection to the earth and mountain pose. Be grounded. Be strong. Be sturdy. And breathe. On the next breath, it's going to float our hands down. And we're going to move into some swan dives. I love swan dives. And we are going to use our breath and our body together here. So hands are over the heart center. I think I'll scoot back to be sure you can see me. And you're going to float your hands up. And then as you bring your hands down, your hips go to the back, they hinge backward. Tuck your chin, look at your knees, flip your palms forward. Maybe they're in front of your knees or your ankles. And then imagine you have a heavy load of something good, love, energy, patience, forgiveness, whatever it is. Take it all the way up and bring it from above into your whole being, into your heart. Inhale, swan dive down. Exhale. Inhale, reverse one up. Exhale into the heart center. And one more. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Hands over heart center. Let's come to the front of our mats and we're going to do a forward fold standing to come back to our hands and knees. So reach your hands as high as you can. Forward fold. Bring your fingertips in front of your toes. Only to step back onto your hands and knees. I'm just going to spin around here. And we are going to go into a kneeling pigeon. We haven't done this in a while, and it's not my favorite because I find it very difficult, but it is a great stretch. So go on and slide that left knee under your chest, maybe between your thumbs. And can you push this right back foot as far back as you can so you're sitting on your heel? You can stay there because you're probably in the right pigeon pose because your shoulders and hips are straight forward. But if you want to go a little bit deeper, you can lift your hips and just wiggle the left foot towards the right side of the mat. And then here's the tip, the key. Push your back foot forward. And then the buttock comes down in the correct place. And then maybe you just walk your hands out and make a little pillow for your forehead. And breathe. On the next breath, slowly straighten your arms. Come back to your hands and knees as we move into kneeling pigeon on the other side. It's going to take our right knee forward. Push your left heel back. Maybe you're sitting on your heel, which might feel just fine. Or maybe even a block. You can always put a block back there. If you want more, lift your hips and just wiggle the foot to the outside of the mat as you push the back foot a little bit farther back. And then maybe you just drop down. Yeah. Drop your head to maybe your hands, making one fist on top of the other or one hand on top of the other. And breathe. 3 breaths here. And the next breath, slowly lift the head, lift the chest, straighten the arms. We're just going to take this back leg forward. So both feet are back out in front. As we go into our boat pose, bring your hands behind your knees. Pull your heels in and roll past your tailbone. That's right, no pressure on the tailbone. Look at your belly, pull it into your spine. Let your arms be long. And then drop your shoulders, lift your heart, lift your gaze, lift your legs into tabletop, into your boat pose. Maybe you reach your arms high, maybe not. Maybe you even straighten your legs into a full boat. And breathe 5 breaths in your boat pose. On the next breath, hands come behind the knees, only to hinge forward, lifting the heart, sitting nice and tall, and then rolling past that tailbone once again as we transition onto our backs. Before we do, if you need some support for your head, just roll your mat and make a little pillow. We're going to slowly roll back onto our spines, lifting your feet and feeling each vertebra with a rounded spine come down to the mat slowly. It feels like a massage on the spine. As you take your knees into your chest and gently rock your knees side to side, you can close your eyes here and just breathe, relaxing your feet, relaxing your legs, uncross your ankles, pull your knees up toward your chest and begin to circle your knees in big circles away from each other. And then switch the direction of your circles. By the way, if your hands are on your shins, it's a much smaller circle. So you want a big range of motion. So to make it bigger, bring your hands on top of your knees. And then you can get a bigger circle. Make sure your feet are just dangling, they're not flexed and all tense. So relaxed feet, relaxed legs, relaxed knees. As we move into happy baby, you'll pull your left knee to your left armpit and your right knee to your right armpit over your knees. Maybe you grab your toes and bring your toes over your knees for a full happy baby, or maybe you just straighten out your legs. As we move into legs up the wall, bring your big toes up towards the ceiling. Maybe you support your legs with your hands behind your thighs. Maybe you drop your hands down to the mat, letting your body be grounded and letting your legs be weightless. Close your eyes. Press your lower back into the mat, your belly into your spine to protect your back. And float the soles of the feet down to the mat with your knees bent. And let your arms come out to a T with your palms down. Separate your feet about shoulder width apart. And let both knees fall to the floor on the right as you gaze to the left. Let your top knee be heavier than your bottom knee. And slowly come back to the center, bringing your gaze and your knees back to the center as your knees fall towards the floor. This time on the left as you gaze to the right, letting the top knee be heavier than the bottom knee. Slowly let your gaze and your knees come back to the center as we let the soles of the feet come together and the knees move away from each other. And supine butterfly. Now I have to protect my back here because it feels awkward. So I press my lower back into the mat, my belly into the spine. It tilts my pelvis forward. Stay in your supine butterfly here and just breathe. As we move into our final Savasana, you can stay here in supine butterfly if that feels good for you. Or maybe you straighten your legs, bringing your left heel to the left corner of your mat. and the right heel to the right corner of your mat. So this really is the most important part of our practice today, final savasana, final relaxation. The more that you can relax, the more energy that will flow through your body, the more healing and restoration that will take place. So just melt into your mat and totally relax. Relax your mind, relax your body, relax your breath and your spirit, and just be. Just be in the moment here. Relax your feet, your heels, the arches of your feet, the balls of your feet, even your toes, your ankles, your calves, behind your knees and behind your thighs. Relax your buttocks. Let them just melt into your mat. And your back. Relax your lower back, your middle back, your upper back, with your shoulder blades just melting into the mat. Relax your shoulders and your arms, the insides of your elbows, the insides of your wrist, the palms of your hands, your fingers, your thumbs. If your palms are facing upward and you relax your thumbs, you'll feel your shoulders relax just a little more. Relax your hip bones and your pelvis, even your belly and your rib cage and your chest, your neck, your scalp, and all the muscles in your face. Just relax them. Relax your forehead, your eyebrows, your eyelids, your cheekbones, relax your nose and your chin. We can even relax our mouth, our teeth. Unclench them, let them part. Let your tongue fall away from your teeth, relax your lips, and just be. And maybe move into that purifying breath. Inhaling as long and deep as you can in through the nose, so deep that your tummy rises high. Pause, and then exhale all that old air out of your body. Long, long breaths here. Inhale deep. And long exhale. Continue to breathe as we open our hearts and let them be filled with love today. Love of yourself, love of others, love of those around us. Let us let go of all criticism and judgment and just love. As we come to a close in our practice today, roll over maybe onto your sides in a fetal position. Excuse me. Where maybe you represent renewal, rebirth in this fetal position as we come back into awareness with your eyes closed, continuing to breathe. And then we're going to move back up into a seated position where we take a few seconds, a few minutes to just pray for each other, whether you're Christian or not. We can lift up our prayers, our desires for prayer requests to be met. You can either yell it out in your room where you are. Maybe you yell it out in your mind silently. You can jot it down in the comments. We have a prayer team that can pray for you. If you have any prayer requests, let's just pray for each other in the spirit. We can do that. Up from up above, let's just lift up prayer for each other. Close your eyes and let us just pray. I lift up my mother, who is going to be having some different medical tests. You know, they're just your regular tests, but I just lift her health up. I lift that she would be healthy and that she would continue to just thrive in this world. She's doing so beautifully. Thank you, Lord, for that. And as we come to a close, let's open our eyes. We're going to take our arms out long with our palms up. Inhale to float your hands up and exhale, hands over heart center. Please jot down any feedback you have for our practice today so that we know we go in the right direction to fill all your needs so that you are getting the best practice that you can. And I hope Michael is still here so that he can close us with the Lord's Prayer, and then we will be done. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Karen. That was amazing, as always. And everybody, if you could please make some noise, give it up for Karen, some social media love. Thank you so much. Yes. And also, yeah, give us feedback about the practice and what's helpful about it, what is meaningful, what we could do better. We always want to hear that. So we're going to close this morning with the Lord's Prayer. It's a prayer that Jesus taught his disciples, just kind of covers all our bases for the day. So for those that are comfortable, we invite you to join in this prayer with us. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Amen. Hey, thanks everyone. We'll be here next week, same time, same place. Share this with your friends, and we look forward to being back together next week. Thank you.